Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey.
This is good to see you, brother Dr. Smith. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you, group, for joining in. We have folks coming on Facebook and YouTube sharing with us with we call it the Life Savvy broadcast or podcast,
All right.
where we're talking to real people about real subjects with real doctors. Now, Life Savvy, we call it that because at our age, because we're the senior citizens, we've learned how to be street smart, life smart. That's what savvy is all about. The word savvy refers to practical knowledge and the ability to understand and make good judgments in particular fields. In this particular field we're talking about tonight is life itself. And I'm glad that my friend Dr. Ozzie Smith is joining me tonight. Dr. Phil is not going to be able to be here tonight, and Dr. Chip is not going to be able to be here tonight. They had some things that come up, but I told them we would go ahead anyhow, and I called my good friend, Dr. Ozzie Smith, to come and help me make this broadcast one that will be a blessing to you. Now, we've dedicated this program to share basic information, and I believe it will be a blessing to all. I also asked my baby brother to come and share. I'm going to bring him up on the screen as well right now. Brother Hal.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Thank you for coming in at the last minute and rescuing your big brother.
Yes, sir.
We have on the screen now Brother Ozzie, Dr. Ozzie Smith, and my baby brother Halloran Hilton Hill. And I was just telling the viewers about what this program is all about. We call it Life Savvy because at our age, we've learned some street smarts. We've learned how to combine our experience and education to share some practical information to the generations that are below us. One of the struggles that I've seen happening is that we don't have the intergenerational conversations that actually keeps wisdom and knowledge and culture going on in our community. So this broadcast, this podcast really is about sharing with the next generation the things that we've learned. Some of them have been through the University of Hard Knocks. And I'm excited about it because we're all sharing in some basic information about life. And tonight I thought we'd share together on old age. Now, did I get a smile from my brothers? Old age. I think it's critical because, I'm sure many people are talking about age after last night's ordeal, and they're wondering whether or not old age really does have something to offer. And I believe that in spite of our frailties in our senior years, we still have something important to offer to the next generation and to our communities and our culture. And so, again, I welcome you, Dr. Ozzie Smith and Mr. Halloran Hill. Let me do this because you guys have not introduced yourselves to the audience. Why don't you just take a minute and we'll start with Dr. Smith. Will you just tell us a little about yourself so that our audience can know who you are, sir?
I'm Ozzie Smith. I'm retired now, four years from being a senior pastor of Covenant United Church of Christ for 24 years. Native of Memphis, Tennessee, but been living now in Chicago for 34 years, where I served under Dr. Jeremiah Wright for 6 years at Trinity. And he's the reason that I came to Chicago, because Trinity sent me to seminary. And so I'm so 73. So
let me.
I know what's
you're cutting on and off, Ozzie. So let me go to Halloran, then we'll come back to you when you get on a better spot. But stay there, Halloran. Tell us a little about yourself, sir.
Okay.
Well, my name is Halloran Hilton Hill. I am a communicator. I've been in the business of radio, television, music production, speaking, and training for over 40 years. And I guess I found out tonight I'm old.
Yeah, you're in that group now, sir. Can't Ozzie go back again? Now I think we can hear you better.
Okay, I'm Ozzie Smith, retired pastor of Covenant United Church of Christ, South Holland, Illinois, where I pastored for 24 years. Been retired now 4 years. I'm a native of Memphis, Tennessee, but have now been living in Chicago for 34 years. As we were invited to come to Chicago by Dr. Jeremiah Wright to be that Trinity would send me to seminary, and that's what they did. And so I had no idea that it would evolve into what it did, being a pastor. Pastor wasn't on my mind, but going to seminary was. So God did the rest.
Well, praise God. But listen, audience, let me tell you about my friend, Dr. Smith. He's not just a great pastor and a great preacher, but he's a first-class saxophonist, jazz saxophonist.
Wow.
I'm surprised he doesn't have it on the seat right now because
you're very kind, sir.
No, Halloran, this guy, he mentored Kirk Whalum, sir.
Oh yeah, then we know what we know what we're dealing with.
That's correct.
Kirk was 14 when I married into Olivet in 1974. My late wife was the minister of music of that church. And Kirk was 14 and running around there with the horn and very hungry, just like he is now. That's why it's no surprise that Kirk has made it to the levels that he's made it, because he's always been hungry with that instrument.
Okay. All right. Well, again, tonight we're talking about old age, and I kind of looked at what old age is. First of all, you have the middle age. That's from age 45 to 64. And then you have the early old age from starts about 65 till about 85. And then there's the old age from 85 to older. Well, Howard, you haven't made it in the old age yet. So you're still in the middle age. You're coming along. But it's interesting. I'm in the old age because you know why? Because my children are in middle age. And that's amazing to live long enough to see your children in your old age. So now I don't know if y'all feel comfortable in sharing your ages, but if you are,
I'm
Go ahead.
73. I'm
You
73. Will be 74 August 25th
all
of
right?
this year.
And how
and I'll be 60 in November.
you'll be what?
60.
Hey, Ozzy, I
Yeah.
literally changed my baby brother's diapers. That's
My,
how.
my, my.
And I always like to tell people, and soon I'll change his.
and, and
Right,
and listen,
right.
and I won't be complaining. I'll take it kindly. I'll take it with graciousness. And then I'm 70. I'll turn 71 in September of this year, and I'm excited about this season of my life. It gives me an opportunity to do a lot of reflection, but also a continued growth. In fact, I said the other day when I was talking to a friend of mine that when I crossed the Rubicon of promise, somebody asked me, "What is the Rubicon of promise?" And what I said was that it's the promise that God makes, and how Dad used to tell us about this text. So teach us to number our days so that we might apply our heart to wisdom. And so when you get to 70, which is verse 10 of Psalm 90, it says, if you're blessed to be 70, that's called the grace of Christ. And you go beyond, he said, by reason of strength, you'll make it to 80. And so when I got to that 70 mark, I called it the Rubicon of promise. Now, Ozzy, that will preach the Rubicon of promise. Okay. All right. And it was there that I did a lot of reflection about what I would do over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Right. And so I count this time a time of a really a great season of my life. I'm excited about it. In fact, will you ask me how I'm doing, sir? Please.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing extremely well, ecstatically happy, overflowing with joy. Thank you for asking, sir.
Name it.
Intentional about that because some people believe that with your aging also comes the lack of enthusiasm. But I'm gaining more and more enthusiasm as I move along in these senior years. Now, I want to ask a few questions to my partners here. What, Ozzy, you're now 73, going on to 74. Tell me, how do you feel at this age?
At this age of 73 and 74, there's mixed emotions because my father passed away at the age of 74. First time he ever got sick in his life was through pancreatic cancer, but that A has nothing to do with this B. But I feel good because I've been intentional about taking care of myself. I have a personal trainer
Wow.
twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays at 6:30 in the morning. I have a healthy lifestyle doctor that I'm doing plant-based supplements. I try to eat right and take care of myself that way. But I feel good. I have 3 grandchildren. I'm retired. I knew it was time to retire from pastoring. Of course, you never retire from ministry, but I retired from pastoring. And so on Sundays, I get a chance to play my horn. And at the benediction, I get a chance to put it up and get in the car and drive home.
Hey, Ozzy, I know that feeling because I retired in 2018 and I feel the same way, brother.
Yep, yep.
Howard, you're getting ready to cross over into 60. How does that feel?
I feel the weight of it from a health perspective. I certainly feel it as a person that was really into fitness and health and exercise. You know, I can tell the difference of this age, and so I feel it. You start to number your days,
Mm.
um, and but there's a certain thing that happens if you do too much counting, you don't do as much living. So
No, 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 no. You threw that out. You got to say that again, sir.
you can either count or live.
Okay.
You know, so I you know, there's this whole construct um, about the lived life, the experienced life versus the remembered life.
Okay. All right.
And we experience life, but we remember very little of our lives. Um, they say you only remember big moments, changes, and endings, and that if you want to have a better quality of life, then you become more intentional about creating great moments for yourself, navigating changes positively, and trying to figure out a better way to either reframe or create better endings or transitions. And if you become preoccupied with the numbering of your days, it means you're not actually living your days. There's a if you look in the book of Ecclesiastes at the end of chapter 5 going into chapter 6, Solomon talks about something sad that he's seen, a man that he's given wealth and honor and influence, but no power to enjoy it.
Mm. Mm.
And then he goes on to say, but when God gives you the power to enjoy your life, he said he'll fill your heart with so much joy that you will not much remember the days. And so what I found is that there is a power in being more present in your life because, as you start to move closer to what you believe might be your expiration date, the anxiety of that anticipation will drain the life out of the day you're experiencing.
Wow. Hmm.
Right. I used to do this example when I was teaching this Proverbs class. I would take a pitcher and I would fill it up with a red liquid, and then I would place in front of that pitcher a row of glasses, little shot glasses. And I would say this full pitcher represents the mental, physical, and spiritual energy that you have in any given day. If you got a good night's rest, if you ate well, you might start the day with a full pitcher. But everything you do takes something out of that pitcher. So if you're anxious, there's an amount of energy that anxiety takes. You have to pour that out. If you are fearful, if you are mad at somebody, if you are whatever it is, and I would just start pouring into these glasses. And what you would notice all of a sudden is then you have something you want to do with your life. And that might represent the fourth or fifth glass. And you look at your picture and there's nothing left because you expended all your energy on your anxiety. So when you get ready to pick up your sax to play, you're not inspired because the energy that you would have put into that, you placed into the anxiety or you placed into something else. And so what I think happens for me, I am trying to just be more present in my days. One of the things that I'd love to do, and I do it every day, is I write music. And what I found is that when I show up and I just lose myself in the music, the day that gets logged into my memory is a day worth remembering. And it really pushes out all the other stuff. The days that I'm high anxiety and I'm thinking about the fact the clock is winding down and I only have so many years left and what do I want to do? Those are the heaviest days. What I've been able to reckon is that it's because my energy is tied up into something that is not related to my actual living.
Let,
Does
let me,
that
yeah, no, that's good. When you said that about music, Isaac, you're 73, you've been playing the saxophone for a number of years. At 73, how does it feel playing your saxophone?
That is probably some people they used to say that this horn is an appendage of me, but that was one of the things I found out at an early age. I started playing when I was 12, so I've been playing this many years now, 60 whatever odd years. When I pick up that sax to play, that's something that I can do and I can create and I can praise God with. Because when you mentioned Psalm 90 tonight, you almost made me turn off of this, get off of this expressway because that's one of my favorite psalms.
Okay.
teach us to number our days, verse 12, that we may gain a wise heart. And numbering is not sitting up counting them and saying, woe is me, but to appreciate the number of days that you've been here and the number of days that you don't worry about the days that you don't have that are before you, because you can't count them until they've gone. But you do what you can in the day that you have. I always say that life can either be a word with 4 letters, or life can sometimes feel like a 4-letter word, um, depending on how you choose to experience it. But I feel wonderful when I pick that sax up, because that's something I know that God has given me the gift to do. And it was the only thing. It got me through high school because I was a supreme nerd, and I spent all of my time in the band room. But
Wow.
that's where I mined, and so when I met Kirk reminded me of my younger self, but I didn't have the kind of what I would call door knocker spirit that Kirk has. Kirk decided to make a living being a musician. Well, anybody that's been around music knows that that's a feast or famine proposal to,
Right.
to become a musician, because you don't know, you might get this check and then you might have a check for a while. So I was a band director for 13 years, and so I taught school in the day and I played the clubs at night. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you asked a good question. That horn, and that horn is almost, I call that horn my mistress, because
Mm-hmm.
if I don't take that horn out of the case, that horn will, the next time I take it out, it'll say, "Where have you been? And what do you want?
Mm.
What do you want from me now? You haven't taken me out." And
But
so
now,
you can get
but wait, well, Ozzy, wait. But now you're feeling this way at 73. Most young people looking at a 73-year-old would say, now, hasn't his musical talent diminished with age?
Oh
Has
no,
yours?
oh no, oh no. What happens is, the more you play, the more you play.
Mm.
I was talking with Kirk about several months, 2 3 months ago, and cause Kirk practices every day. I'll admit it. I don't practice every day, but I practice every other day or so. But he says he gets more on the stage than he does in practice,
Wow.
because as you perform, um, the creativity comes sometimes just out of sheer boredom. I don't want to play that lick anymore, but I'm going to play something, because we hear way more than we execute when you're
Mm.
playing an instrument. But the more you play, the more the execution and the thinking about the execution begin to marry to a certain extent. You hear these musicians like Sonny Rollins and Kirk Whalum and Coltrane and all others. The more you spend time with that instrument, the more it will spend time with you.
Let me ask a question. What are the common misconceptions about aging, and how can we help change the narrative among the younger generation?
What
How?
I've
I
been
think
told is the older
Oh,
we
go
get,
ahead.
the
Go
older we
ahead.
get, the worse we get. This is what I've been told. Some people have said that, but I don't believe that. My father hung around men much older than himself,
Mm.
and and I hung around those same older men because they would always drop knowledge on you all the time. Little one-liners. I remember this man that my dad used to hang out with. He said, "Boy, your name Henrietta." I said, "Henrietta." He said, "You don't know no better." That was that's what.
Okay.
And I knew what he was talking about. So that was one of the misconceptions that, when you're young, you don't know anything. But I've seen nothing. I love hanging around old men because I took my lawnmower in to get it fixed after I had it. And the old man was working at the lawnmower shop. He said, "Why you?" He said, "You bringing it in?" He said, "You upset seems." I said, "Well, it's a snapper." He said, "It was broke when you bought it new." I said, "Why you know that?" He said, "Didn't a man make it?" I said, "Oh my God,
love it.
that's
Hal,
wisdom."
jump in. Hal, jump
I,
in. Tell me,
I think
because you work around young people.
I think the chief misconception about age and creativity
Okay.
is that you have a window of time in your life when you are going to be the most creative.
Right.
And especially in music, they say that's, if you look at a Stevie Wonder, you look at all these artists, and many of them developed their catalog between the ages of 17 and 28. And they've toured their entire lives on this burst of genius
Wait,
when they were
Hal.
young.
You use the term. See, I'm not into music, and some of my viewers are not into music. You said catalog. What do you mean a catalog?
So, a collection of songs that you've written that become that you're known for.
Okay.
Every time you perform, they want to hear you perform those songs.
Mhm.
So every time Stevie Wonder goes out, somebody wants to hear him do Sir Duke, Isn't She Lovely? You know, so as so you develop, but so I've run into his interesting being wedged between older people and younger people. Um, Older people will stop doing the thing that they love because they've been told that the creativity has an expiration date,
Mhm.
right? And so you say, you used to paint, you used to play your saxophone. Yeah, when was the last time you played it? Oh, I hadn't picked up that thing in a long time. I wouldn't sound worth anything now. Did you enjoy it? Oh man, I loved it. I played every day. Why'd you stop? Well, I got up in age or whatever. And so they just won't because they have this thing in their head that creativity has an expiration date. To the younger people that I talk to, they have this precious gift that they've been given, and a lot of them have not bought into the joy of developing the craft. Like, I really enjoyed the craft without an audience, without any feedback, just the creativity of the craft itself. And they're leveraging the craft to get somewhere. And you get to this point where the craft is somewhere. The doing of the thing on a regular basis brings you supreme joy. So I tell people all the time, do your art, because the muse or God's inspiration, when he knocks on the door and he gives you an idea or something flows into your spirit, or even the desire itself gets counted, not just the output, but just the want to. When that shows up in your life, that is a supreme honor. And to face those sacred moments without resistance. You want me to play this right now? Okay. And to be okay with having a beginner's mind. I don't mind playing the wrong note. I don't mind looking a little dumb as I'm learning. If you could ever find the joy of that. And I really did think that my prolific period of my life was in my 20s. I'm writing for all these different people. I have never in the entirety of my short life had a period of productivity like the one I'm having right now.
Wow.
I'm absolutely thrilled to step into the journey every single day, 365 days a week, a year, seven days a week. I go to that sacred place and I go, what are we going to do today? What do you got for me today? And maybe since October of last year, maybe 350 tunes. And I
Wow.
never imagined that kind of, it's not even volume to me. It's just I ended the resistance because I busted that myth.
Let me jump in here because I'm feeling you and I'm understanding you because I feel that way every morning about writing. See, you guys are musicians. The only thing I can play well is a tape recorder or some type of instrument that will play the music back to me. I don't play well. I don't play music. But what I do is I love to write. And how you hit a point because in these senior years, my writing has gone to another level. And every single morning I get up and write new, fresh ideas. And I'm appreciating the process. Susie, my wife, wants me to put up everything I do every morning. And I said, well, I will do it, but I'm not writing to put it up. I'm writing from the sheer joy of writing. And it has become more enjoyable, especially over the last few months when I made a discovery about being totally contented, that it doesn't matter anymore about whether it gets published or whether it produces anything, just the joy of writing and making those words. But now I see you shaking your head, Ozzy. Go ahead and speak.
Well, I'm getting ready to do a second project. My first project I did in 1999. It's on iTunes called My Tribute. It's got about 7 tunes on it. It's produced by Bobby Wooten. I'm getting
And
ready
it's
to do
good.
getting
And
ready to
it's
do it.
good.
Getting ready to do another project with this guy named Seneca on the 8th of July through the 19th. And one of the things, as you talk about when you get old, Sonny Rollins, who I consider a premier saxophonist, has stopped playing, not because he decided to stop playing. His health has stopped him from playing. He can't play anymore because of his health. I don't know. They don't say what the issue is. But the most of the musicians I know play until the horn drops out of their mouth.
Wow.
Yeah, they just play and play. George Duke played until it was no longer possible to play anymore. And he was supposed to be on a concert with Kirk, that I played with Kirk at the Logan Center in Chicago about 3-4 years ago. He called from his hospital bed, just to say that he would have been there had he not been sick. I think he died like a week or so later. But these people, they shop, they play, they shop till they drop. Because God is always dropping wisdom out there.
Well, I think this is very, very important for us to share because I have granddaughters and they're not babies. My oldest is 25, my middle one will be 23
Wow.
next month, and my baby will be 18 in October. So I don't have babies anymore.
No.
And I'm listening to this generation who have what I call the Rehoboam complex, and that is they're listening to each other, but they don't know the value of talking to senior citizens.
Right.
And I think it's critical that we share our information to help them understand that as you grow older, I feel like preaching right now. You like good wine, and hell, I ain't never had no wine, but they tell me that the older the wine gets, the better it tastes. And so I'm tasting better now at 70 than I did at 40. In fact, I can be honest with you. I'm actually healthier now at 70 than I was at 40. I dropped down this morning and did my 40 push-ups,
Okay.
my 40 sit-ups, and I did my squats and I walked. I couldn't do that at 40 years old. By the way, I think my baby brother challenged me on one of my birthdays, and I had to show him that it is real. That all right, Alan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You did what you needed to do.
So now here's another question. What are the biggest challenges facing older adults today?
Well, I would say getting out, going places. We are skeptical about going out. I wouldn't say everybody is, but people look at you and say, "Oh, this person is." Yeah, they take advantage of older people out in the streets and things like that. So,
okay.
So people tend to limit their sphere or scope of existence because of those challenges. But other than that, I mean, I don't have any challenges. It's just sometimes I just don't want to go anywhere. Sometimes I just want to sit down and be quiet. There's a book I read by Wayne Mueller called Sabbath. And he said, sometimes we have to move away from the rhythm of doing to the rhythm of being. Just to chill. Because Howard Thurman called it sitting down and having a session with yourself such that you can see yourself walk by.
Man, now you please say that again, sir. That was great. Mm-hmm. And this generation doesn't like to be quiet like that. So say that again, sir.
He said, having a session with yourself such that you can see yourself walk by. It's being contemplative, taking the time to listen and be still and know. I found Miles Davis did this Miles Davis said early on when he was playing his horn, he used to play a lot of notes. He said, but he realized later on in life that less is more.
Wow.
Sometimes let the silence be pregnant with what you could have played if you would have played, but you don't have to play every note. As my daddy used to say, boy, you can't dance on every record.
And now that's one of those old sayings there, Ozzy. You can't say that again.
You can't dance on every record.
Wow.
It's interesting with the stuff that Ozzy's saying. those sayings really are modern proverbs. That was the whole
Okay.
idea of
Okay.
proverbs, to take profound wisdom and to pack it into sticky, memorable 2-line couplets or
Yep.
4-line
Yep.
poems or whatever. So those are, and that's why they're so sticky. They travel well.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is one of the challenges, and it's one of the things that Robert Waldinger is exploring in the Harvard Adult Health Study. They've been studying 724 men for over 80 years.
Ah.
Half of the young men were from the streets of Boston, and half of the young men were from Harvard.
Mm.
And they decided to follow them every year, do blood work. They did psychological evaluations. They did 360 interviews with all the people closest to them for 80 years. And so they got all the data, and it's all compiled and presented in this book, The Good Life. And what they did was they looked at men in their 80s that were vibrant and that were thriving, which is core, because especially for Black men, our lives have been about survival, and we've never developed the ability to thrive. Thriving is a order of magnitude different than surviving,
Mm-hmm.
right? Living well-being is a skill unto itself. And what they found about the men in their 80s that were thriving, they rolled it back and they looked to what they were and who they were in their 50s. And more important than their cholesterol level, more important than working out, was the quality of their friendships. And the seminal finding of the study is great relationships keep you healthier and happier. The tendency is, as we age, not to keep making new friends or having a
Wow.
circle of friends.
Okay.
And friendship is the thing that, joy is the thing that really lifts you. And so, because of perceived or real dangers, we tend to isolate ourselves, or we're trying to make sure that what happened to us before doesn't happen to us again. And we develop kind of a defensive mindset. And Seligman said we're homo prospectus. We prospect for what we expect. So if you've taken on a negative mindset about life, that's what you expect on a regular basis. Solomon said, what you fear, you find.
Wow.
And so friendship is one of the gateways. And so what I've definitely been leaning into, I have a small group of friends, and we've decided to be really intentional about just being great friends to each other, checking on each other, spending time together, just hanging out. Um, Friendship is an art unto itself, and I think that's one of the major challenges. The Surgeon General was talking recently about the epidemic of loneliness in America, and I think that's a big deal. Just having, they said, if you know you have a couple of good friends, somebody that you could call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they'd say, "I'm on my way." Somebody that checks on you, somebody that is happy when you're doing something, um, that makes a huge difference. And men in particular are really horrible at friendship, because we're competitive. We think we'll lose face by being vulnerable. And the way we communicate is, especially those of us who were raised by that last generation,
Right.
you don't walk around sharing your emotions, your
No emotions.
feelings.
No.
You don't, none of that stuff didn't wash. But if you think about it, it may not have washed. But I remember there was a barber shop here in Knoxville.
Wait. Hold it. Ozzy, you were saying something. Go ahead.
I said, like, as your brother was talking, one of the things that was big when I was coming up, you don't cry if you're a man.
Right. You don't do
A good
that.
man, a good cry is cleansing. And as you were talking about friendship, one of the tenets of my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, is friendship is essential to the soul.
Wow.
Yeah. You got to have friends because we're not. You can't walk around here by yourself and become a committee of one because you don't learn anything just from yourself. But hanging around other guys and chewing the fat. I have a group of guys I hang out with, and we've named ourselves the Starbucks group because we all met up at Starbucks, and we hung out there for 6 years before COVID, every day, Monday through
Wow.
Friday, uh, from Bears
Wow.
walking, retired policemen, business owners, and things like that. And we now have Zoom meetings every Tuesday, but we don't
Wow.
meet at Starbucks every day. But we have Zoom meetings every Tuesday, and we just kind of chew the fat about what's going on in our lives. But yeah, friendship is. Yeah, I always say each person you meet gives you another cracked mirror by which to view yourself.
Okay.
I love that.
Well, we're right at the end of our podcast for tonight. And what I decided when I crossed the Rubicon of promise that I would re-enroll back into the University of Life
Yeah.
for my PhD in aging.
Ah,
You know, and I'm learning more how to enjoy this age. What you guys have shared today has been very beneficial to me as well because the whole idea of friendship. Ozzy and I, we've been in ministry all these years, and sometimes that can be a place of isolation
yep.
where you don't have many friends.
Nope.
But in this season, Hal, you are absolutely right. I'm reaching out to cultivate more friendships. That's why I call you just about every other day, Hal. That's called friendship,
Yeah.
developing the friendship. Any last words?
I um I applaud you for doing this because it again it expands and unpacks that verse 12 in Psalm 90. Lord, teach us to number our days that we might gain a wise heart, not just by sitting down uh, counting them, but making them count.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'd say um, end the resistance.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. The Holy
Mm-hmm.
Spirit is always trying to move you to act,
Yeah.
to be, to do. He'll give you ideas, he'll give you inspirations. In the resistance. We were in our Bible study this morning, we were in Mark, and I think Mark 12, and it says, "You shall love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, spirit, love your neighbor as yourself." And there's a level of engagement and investment that you can only find with the word
Ah.
all, right? And all is everything. And there's something to just being all in and going all out. But as I'm sitting there working with the verse today, I looked at the word shall, and I noticed that in the word shall, the word all is tucked into the word shall.
Mm.
And for a
Right.
minute I looked away from it, and I thought about this ending the resistance. If you look at the word shall, it starts with shh.
Wait now, Hal. Me
Ah.
and Ozzy, hey, me and Ozzy are the preachers. Now you didn't go on the preaching in here.
Look out. Yeah. You just gave me some. I'm gonna give you credit for it the first time, but after that, it's mine.
It starts with shh. I mean
Yeah.
all.
Hmm.
Don't question. Just shh. Give me all, right? That's the
Right.
word
Right.
shall. And so
Right.
I noticed that with the writing of my music, when I stop the resistance, I'm not good enough. I'm too old.
Right.
Who's
Right.
gonna like this? Uh, Nobody wants to read what I write. Whatever that is, God said, hey, shh, all.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
all of what you have right now? Give me
Right.
that.
Yeah. Because and improvisation is one of my things that we're always chasing after, and instead of trying to edit what I'm getting ready to play, it's not improvisation if I'm going to edit it. You have
Wow.
to just let it flow because let it flow out of the instrument because whatever it is, because you're inspired by the chord progressions that are coming, and so Coltrane worked on Giant Steps for 3 years before he trotted it out. And
Wow.
so when you hear him play on Giants, you say, "Oh my God!" you know, the melody of giant steps is much easier than to improvise off of it because it changes
Mm.
every 4 beats.
Wow.
Yeah, changes every 4 beats. And just the same thing. Cherokee is another number, changes every 4 beats. The head is much easier than the improvising. So improvisation is going from that glossary of whatever you have in your memory to apply it to what the chords are inspiring you to play, and
And
not
you
trying to
know,
edit it. And like Thelonious Monk said, there's no such thing as a wrong note.
there's no,
Mm.
and you know this as a player, that you do have to shut up and listen. Like,
Yep, yep,
listen to the inspiration that's coming to you. Don't question it. Don't
yep.
just go, be available to it. And that's one of the things I would say is, in closing, is end
Yeah,
the resistance.
yeah. Listen to it, because an old player will tell you, listen instead of hauling off, starting off playing. Whoa, just listen. Jack McDuff and I can't Mark Whitfield, this guitar player, said he was playing with Jack McDuff on this tune, and I forgot what the tune was, but Whitfield soloed on the tune, and McDuff asked him, he said, Mark, did you know that tune? He said, no. He said, well, why in the heck did you play on it if you didn't know the melody? Why would you
Uh,
improvise? Why would you improvise and you don't know the melody? You got to know the melody in order to improvise, because within the melody are the notes to the changes.
well, you guys have hit it out of the park tonight. It's been great. It's been good. It's been grand. What you're saying ultimately is live until you die.
That's right. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna die living. I'm not gonna live dying.
And I'm going to join you. Thank you all for sharing with us
Thank
tonight.
you.
This is Life Savvy, where real doctors talk real talk. And I want to thank my guest, Dr. Ozzie Smith, for being with me tonight, and my baby brother, Mr. Halloran Hill. And I invite you to be with us. We broadcast every other week, bi-monthly, Live Savvy, to bring powerful information to you. Good night, all.
Good night. All right. Take care.